This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Monday Mashup, Monday, May 6th. It's May.
It is May.
It's May.
No
Justin
longer
Timberlake on the cool throne, and pardon my take because it's May.
It's not gonna be May.
It is May. How you doing?
I'm great, man. You know,
Playoff basketball feels like playoff basketball again.
a little bit.
They're a good series.
Second rounds has been better.
We're going to talk a whole lot about that. We have actually a lot on the docket. Game of Thrones recap for Kevin. We're going to lead the show with it because it finally had a good episode this season.
You told me somebody died and I didn't even know who it was. So this is going to be a really good one.
Yeah, because you don't watch the show. So it was a lot of things that happened, and they were all electric, except for like the more I'm thinking about the episode, the first 40 minutes were really unnecessary, and then the last 40 minutes were really erratic, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Could you see this time? All I heard about all week was that like nobody could see in the last episode.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, the last one was way too dark.
Yeah.
Like even going back and rewatching it, I was like, I can't fucking see anything. Yeah. So that was not great. But this episode was mostly in the sun. It was nice.
There you go.
There was plenty of light.
Because it's not an endless winter anymore, or an endless
right.
Yeah.
So the snows stopped falling, which was one weird thing. So I'll just get into it. The first 40 minutes of this episode were aggressively horny. So it starts with
Even
like
for Thrones?
Yeah, it starts with like a 10-minute funeral scene where people are crying. They have the pyres built, and then they start lighting people up and burning the bodies. My first thought, I was like, that's got to smell like shit. Huh? Burning all these bodies.
I feel like that time in general just smelled like shit.
Right,
like, yeah.
But have you ever been to Faster Horses or any music festival like that?
A couple like that, not Faster Horses. I'm not the biggest country guy.
Okay. Yeah. Day 4 at a music festival.
There are 4-day music festivals?
Yeah, or day 3 at a music festival. Yeah. Whatever it is. Smells bad.
I couldn't do 3 days.
If you ever go to a 3-day camp on-site music festival, day 3 smells bad.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
That's kind of what I think just back then smelled like.
Yeah.
All the time.
Probably.
Just smelled like day 3 at Coachella.
Yeah, that can't smell very well. Coachella, they don't camp at Coachella, right?
They do, but some people don't, but some people do. When I went to a different festival at the same place, we camped. But we didn't camp on site, but we still camped.
Nice.
Yeah, but Faster Horses gets disgusting.
Yeah, I believe it.
Gross.
Inside a racetrack?
Just absolutely gross. In the middle of summer, it's like 100 degrees.
Yeah. Oh, God.
That's just what I assume back then smelled like. But then even worse, because they're burning hundreds of thousands of bodies. You got to figure...
I've not smelled burning flesh. I hope I don't, ever.
You got to figure that doesn't smell great. I've smelled burning hair.
Yeah.
And just that alone, I don't need that.
Good.
I don't need 100,000 burning hairs.
Nope.
So then after that, they have this celebration, and everyone is just horny. It starts off with Gendry. He's like, "Where's Arya?" And the Hound is like, "Why? That's what's on your mind right now?" And he's like, No. I just want to talk to her. She was the hero. She saved the battle. He's like, "You don't want to just fucking talk to her. We just fought the dead and lived."
Never want to just talk.
Yeah. He's like, we just fought the dead and lived. This is exactly what you should want right now. And he's like, all right. He just kind of steered into it and walked away. Then he got made the Lord of a Cat. So he's a bastard son of the former king. We knew that, right?
Sure.
And so now he's the lord of that king's realm now. Like Dany was like, "Hey, look, you're going to be the lord of the Stormlands because
technically it's yours.
I can do that."
Like,
yeah. She's like, his brothers are dead, he's dead, everybody in the family's dead, so I'm going to make you the lord now. And he was like, "All right, dope." So he took that, he goes and finds Arya, he kisses her completely unsolicited, and asks her to marry him, and she's like, no, dog, that's not me. I can't. I'm not trying to be a lady. That's not me. She's like, "Did you see I just clipped the Night King? You want me to come fucking marry you? Be a lady?" She's like, "That's not me." Aside from that, there was Jaime being aggressively horny towards Brienne this massive night, and Jaime was like, they were talking, and then Tyrion looks at her and he's like, "So you're a virgin. You have to." They're playing this game where he guesses something that's a truth in her life, and if he's right, she has to drink. And if he's wrong, he has to drink. And he's like, "You're a virgin." And she's like, "I don't want to play anymore."
2 truths and a lie?
Yeah. And then, so obviously she was a virgin. And then Jaime follows her and he's like, no, you're not going to be a virgin after tonight. Nay, hook up.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was just ridiculously horny and slow moving for like 40 minutes, no plot advancement at all. And then all of a sudden they're like, so here's the deal. We're going to go to King's Landing and take over the fucking South. We're going to beat Cersei into submission. So they're going south. Dany's flying on her dragon, and spoiler alert, Euron Greyjoy, who Cersei's trying to marry, or he's trying to marry Cersei and win her the war.
He's the guy who, like, in the first one was, in the first episode of this season was like, the one who, I don't know who it was that asked him to kill the brothers.
No, that's Bronn.
Okay.
But so Euron's the one that's sitting there, and he was like, hey, I want to fuck you. And she was like, I told you you can do that when you've won me the war.
And then she fucked him.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I remember.
And then she fucked him anyway.
The guy who looks like Liev Schreiber.
Yes.
Yeah, got it.
So he pulls up, ambushes her completely, which, again, this is ridiculous that she could be ambushed by a fucking navy. Like, you're in the middle of open ocean, and you don't realize that there's a navy coming at you from over here.
Be able to see. Visibility's pretty clear.
Like, it's got to be tough to be ambushed multiple times in open water, but Daenerys has figured it out. She's figured out how to have entire fleets ambush her in open water. So they pull up, they have these ballistas on the ships, and they fucking take out a dragon.
That's not cool. Did they at least, like, the other dragon come down and burn the shit out of the ships?
No, because they started firing again, and Dany had to pull away. She was like, I can't. Shit. I'm going to get fucked up. So she lands, and they're like, look, let's go ask Cersei if she'll surrender. I'm like, that's probably what she's going to do now that she just killed one of your dragons, and your entire army is dead and weary off of having fought fucking dead people. Yeah. Like, they're all exhausted, and half of them are gone. And let me just pull up and see if Cersei's going to surrender. So they pull up, and they're like, hey, Cersei, we're here to ask for your unconditional surrender. And Cersei's like, that's funny. I'm here to ask for your unconditional surrender. And so then Tyrion's like, look, I know you're pregnant, and I know that you love your kids more than anything, so, like, don't die. Because...
Wait, who's pregnant?
Cersei. She's pregnant with a baby that's going to be the king one day. And she's like... So Tyrion's like, don't die. Like, your kid doesn't have to die. You don't have to die. Your reign's over. Just surrender. She's like, I don't think my fucking reign's over. So
they never know when it's over.
She stood pat, and this is where they had Dany's handmaiden, Miss Sandy, her, like, assistant, who was fucking badass. And they had her held captive. And so they stood her up, and she said, if you have any last words, now's the time. Then they cut her fucking head off.
You hate to see it.
And she fell from the battlements, and then Dany walked away with this really fucking pissed off look. Dany, by the way, has gone full villain mode.
I like it. I like to see that.
I do too, because now I think people are going to start realizing what I've realized for a long time, that you shouldn't root for her as a character. She's a bad character.
No, like when you have like a hero who's torn down and now becomes just full on rampage, I'm in for it. You ever seen The Equalizer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, big time.
Great stuff.
Robert McCall?
No, she's being fully torn into villain. Like, she's losing her fucking mind. She's going a little bit crazy.
Love to see it.
She's only got one dragon left.
That's all she needs.
She was walking away with fucking angry eyes like I have never seen. Like that picture of, she's like LeBron, the Miami Heat LeBron picture. That's what her expression was.
Shout out to William Congreve, Morning Bride. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Absolutely. Yeah. She looks pissed. She also was basically like, it's going to be Cersei's fault that she didn't surrender. So... Because originally she's like, I'm just going to go burn the whole fucking city, and I don't care who dies, I'm going to win the throne. And Tyrion's like, maybe you don't want to kill everyone that you're trying to liberate. And she's like, okay, so let's go ask Cersei to surrender. And then if she doesn't, at least the people will know to blame Cersei when the sky falls on them. And I was like, dude, you're a fucking villain now. Okay. Like, you are a straight up villain.
All right, I won't kill everyone. We'll go ask if she'll surrender. And then when she doesn't, then we'll kill everyone. Yeah. But like, it won't be my fault because I asked.
I know she's not going to surrender. So,
just know I asked.
Yeah, that's when you're begging for your life, just remember.
I gave you a chance. I said you can surrender.
I very indirectly gave you a chance. I asked a person who we knew damn well wasn't going to surrender if she would surrender. And she didn't. And now you're dying because of it.
Shocking twist.
Enjoy that. Yeah. So that was Thrones. Next week, it's going to be the Battle of King's Landing. Should be electric, I hope. I hope they don't fuck it up. I think they still could fuck it up, because the last 3 episodes really were just trash compared to what they had out tonight.
Well, I mean, I feel like more and more battles, like, how many characters do you expect to, like, be left? Like, how many, like, main characters are left now? Like 10?
Lots.
Okay, never mind.
Lots.
I was like, how many will be
there
left?
Are so many main characters that there's fair. Like, and I'm hoping that quite a few die, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
I feel like they got to kill. Like, if there's 2 left, a big time person always goes down in the second to last episode. Like, they'll wait till the end to really, but like some main cast member's going down in the second to last episode.
I hope.
Gotta be.
That's what they said. They said this one's the big one.
If all my years of television watching have taught me anything, somebody's going down.
Yep. That's literally every Game of Thrones season. It feels like the second to last episode, somebody dies.
Somebody's got to.
Local update before we get into some of the basketball stuff. Miguel Cabrera is an asshole.
Shocking.
Yeah. So all the stuff that's come out with him in his personal life, we already knew he was a fucking dick.
Yeah, I mean, he's got, I want to say it's at least 2 DUIs. It could be 3. I'm not positive. But the quote from
Lots of mistresses.
Either the first or second DUI where he got pulled over.
Do you know who I am?
Who I am?
It's hard to hate it.
Doesn't matter.
It's hard to hate it, but
it's a flex. It's like, hey, I won a Triple Crown. Nobody else did that in your lifetime, Mr. Police Officer. Like, great, you're still going to jail.
Doesn't really matter. But the mistresses, the child support payments, all of it, dickhead. Now he's an on-the-field dickhead.
Yeah.
Because he took the podium and was asked what about his power numbers because he only hit 1 home run all season. Dude has absolutely no power left, which is sad from a baseball perspective.
Yeah, I hate to tear down Miggy.
Because he was maybe the greatest hitter I've ever watched in my life.
I mean, the greatest Tiger, Verlander will always be my favorite Tiger. Like, I don't think there can be anyone ever come along in my lifetime who will be my Tiger more than Justin Verlander. But, like, Miggy is... I mean, he was the everyday player, the face of the franchise for that. Like, Verlander, yes, won MVP and won the Cy Young in the same year and was amazing. But, like, you don't play every day. Like, the face is Miggy. And Miggy, for those years, was everything. He was probably the face of Detroit sports.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. There was a good question, who's the face of Detroit sports now? But we can get to that in a second. Why Miggy's a dickhead on the field.
Right.
So he took the podium and he was asked about his power numbers. And he said... Look back who I was hitting with back then. Who was hitting around me? It was Prince Fielder. It was Victor Martinez. It was JD Martinez. Like, you know these guys.
Kinsler,
they had to pitch to me. And then he's like, look who I'm hitting with now.
I don't know who it is, honestly. I don't know who he's hitting with. Castellanos is still there, right?
Yeah, but
that's the only one I know.
He's hitting 2. He hits in front of it, but it's like Jamer Candelario or Nico Goodrum that he hits around.
I'm unfamiliar.
Which... Like, okay, but here's what he said. He was like, I understand what's going on in the offseason. He's like, I want to be here for this so that I'm here when we have a chance to compete. And now he's like, dude, these guys are fucking trash.
Which, like, shocking, right? Like, Fulmer's out for the season, right?
It's just, yeah.
Like, they don't really have a great pitcher.
Yeah, Matt Boyd's been pitching all right lately.
The kid in, where is he at now? Double
Casey
A?
Mize, yeah.
Filthy.
I hope that they don't bring him up.
Let's do it. Why not?
No, I hope they don't. Make it next year. Because if we're not going to spend till 2021, just let it be next year. Don't come.
I hate that baseball does. It's like, don't bring them up just because you'll get another year of control. Like the Vlad Guerrero thing.
Yeah, it
where
stinks.
Like they kept him down for 15 games just to get another year of control. That's so shitty.
It stinks.
They did it to Chris Bryant too.
It's one thing I hate about baseball, but it makes sense. But anyway,
get a better union. I
hate that Miggy's doing the throw the team under the bus thing. Like, look who I'm hitting around. No wonder I can't hit for power. I'm not getting good pitches. He used to be able to hit any pitch out.
Yeah.
Like, just say that you don't have power anymore.
And that's fine. Just hit like 340. Like, just hit 340.
Like, he's hitting 300. He's doing okay. It's just, he doesn't have power. It's okay. Like, Ron Gardenhire came out and he's like, I think that's kind of a crazy comment. Doesn't make any sense. Like, Ron Gardenhire said that. I'm like, you got to manage. You're a bad team. Everybody knew you were going to be a bad team. And now you have this guy who, if they could trade his contract, they would in a second. You have to imagine. There would be no qualms about trading.
No, yeah. Just
You've got this guy.
Like, is he going to be good? You said they're not going to spend until 2021.
Yeah.
He's not going to be good in 2021.
He's not good now.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
so it's like, why keep him if you can trade him, which you can't? And then you have him being an asshole, and then you have Ron Gardenhire saying contradictory things in the press. Not a good look if you're this bad of a team.
No, yeah, I mean, the Central's not that strong, right? So they're theoretically not, like, out of it for the year or anything.
Oh, no,
but the odds of them going anywhere are not great.
Yeah, the Central stinks.
Yeah, per usual.
Like, they potentially could win the Central on the back of it being atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, Kluber's got a broken arm now, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so
all bets are off.
Yeah, just the local update of Miggy's a dick. Who, by the way, who do we think is the face of Detroit sports? They've said Dylan Larkin. People have
God,
said.
I hope not.
Yeah, same. Matt Stafford has been offered up, which I think
better
is
than Larkin.
I think Matthew Stafford is unfortunately probably the face. Blake Griffin should be.
Blake's the biggest star in Detroit, no doubt
But
about it.
nobody cares.
No, but like from a global recognition standpoint, like Blake Griffin's Q rating against any of those guys.
Oh yeah,
Not even close.
yeah.
Yeah, it's probably Blake. Like Stafford wasn't a Pro Bowler. Blake was an All-Star. Blake's an All-NBA player. Like they don't have an all-anything at Slay, I guess, but the corner can't be the face of Detroit
No,
sports.
sure can't.
Like he might be the best Detroit sports player in any sport right now, but
Probably still Blake Griffin.
yeah, probably still Blake. But another guy who he's an All-Pro this year, right? Wasn't he? Slay?
Was he? He
Second
was
team
2
or
years
something?
ago for sure. I don't know if
He's
he
a
made
really
All-Pro.
good corner.
Yeah, he's very
Yeah,
good.
So maybe I'm going to go with Blake if we have to pick a face. It can't be a Red Wing right now. I'm in playoffs in 3 years, 4 years, however many years it is.
I offered it could be Steve Yzerman,
Probably, honestly, yeah.
which
Honestly, yeah.
it's sad that it's an executive, but I think Steve Yzerman, if anyone were going to be the face of Detroit sports, it would be Steve Yzerman right now.
I think that's fair.
Let's see, just out of curiosity. So first team cornerbacks, I knew it was Gilmore and then Kyle Fuller.
Okay.
And second team corners, Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. So it's not Darius Slay. All right, and then the other news piece. Well, two other news pieces. The first one, D'Angelo Russell got caught with weed.
That's like it's.
Don't put it in your carry-on.
No, but it's not. No, it wasn't in the carry-on.
Or don't put it in check bag. Don't put it in your carry-on. Don't put it in your check bag.
You can put it in the carry-on. You can even put it in the check bag. You know what you can't do? Put it in something that looks like a 24-ounce container of liquid because that's not allowed on a flight.
Yeah, I'm going to hide it in this Arizona can.
Seriously.
Like, D'Angelo Russell was using the same thing he used to hide his weed in from his mom.
Stick it in a pair of socks and put it in your checked bag.
Would've been easy.
They won't flag it.
Would've been easy.
They won't. Like, but stick it in a gigantic soda can. They're going to be like, oh, you can't put that in. And then they take it out and it's weed. Like, you moron.
Now, there was Stephen A. Smith's stay off the weed take, which I thought was the wrong
It's
take.
the off season.
Yeah, I
We're
don't
not
care.
testing for it.
One, I don't care if he's on it in the first place. Two, that's not the issue here. The reason I'm mad at D'Angelo Russell is because he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, that was just a moronic move.
Do you know how hard it is to get caught with weed going through an airport in 2019?
And exactly,
it's hard to get caught with weed.
It's 2019. The guy didn't even get arrested for it. He got cited. Like, he got a ticket. That's all that happened. Like, in a state where it's illegal, he still only got a ticket. But like, in all reality, man, there are so many ways to get weed on an airplane. It's not hard. Like, there's so many ways to do it. And the one way you can't do it is put it in something that looks like a liquid. Because that's the one thing they don't let on airplanes.
You literally could just walk it through in your carry-on.
You could put it in your pocket. And then
walk it through.
Drop it in the bin with the rest of your stuff and slide it through. And you're just hoping the TSA people aren't dicks. A lot of times they'll just let it through.
Probably more often than not, they'll
honestly,
just let it through.
If you're just like whatever about
Unless
it,
you're
put it in
leaving
a pill
Vegas or
bottle, make it
something.
look like a prescription, and they probably won't even ask you for a card.
Probably.
Like, just don't put it in a liquid.
Don't put it in an Arizona can with a false bottom. Like, that
do
just
that.
doesn't make sense.
And those things are weighted to make it feel like there's like liquid in there. So they take it out and they're like, oh, like you
can't check a full can of liquid.
You can't take that on the plane.
Ah, man. D'Angelo Russell, just do better. Like, be better about smuggling your weed.
You're a professional athlete going home. You're going to your hometown. You can't get pot in your hometown.
That was the other thing. It was like, dude, he's going where he grew up. You're telling me...
And it's Derby weekend.
You're telling me D'Angelo Russell in Derby weekend in his hometown can't find weed.
Like, you're so close to when it doesn't even matter either. Because you're about to get a max contract, and it's just like, yep, whatever.
What did Big Cat? Big Cat was like, I'd cut him. He was like,
it's so funny. Like, you're just, how do you mess that up? Like, or even like, yeah, Big Cat said too, like, have a fall guy, have a guy be like, no, that was my bag. Like, just so this doesn't come out in the press because it was just a ticket.
Yeah,
like, all that's going to matter is you're just paying the fine for your friend.
Nobody cares that he's on. Nobody cares that he's on weed.
Jail.
Nobody cares that he had weed.
No,
I just care that he got fucking caught.
Like,
just don't be stupid enough to get caught.
Like, it's so easy to just like, and they don't care. The NBA doesn't care. Even during the regular season, they get drug tested 4 times. You have to fail 3 to get suspended. Like, you have to fail 3 out of the 4 to get suspended. The other 2, they just put you in a program.
Yeah, let's not pretend that the league gives a shit.
No.
Like, They understand.
Of course not.
The NBA is the most progressive sports league there is. They understand dudes are going to be smoking pot. It's
the
fine.
offseason. They don't even test. They don't care. Like football in the offseason, you still get tested. Hockey, they don't even.
Yeah, I was going to say hockey. I think it's a legal substance.
They don't want dudes on painkillers in hockey anymore. They had a serious problem with that.
Well, and that's good because it causes addiction.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Like weed, it's fine. Like that's. Stephen A. Smith with this stay off the weed take is the wrong take.
It's way the wrong take.
I get that it's his shtick, but it's the wrong take.
It's the reason. Like he teased it. It was a professional tease. He went on Twitter right away.
Yep, I know what I want to say.
First take. I'm gonna wait. That's you drew in a bunch of viewers just to tune in to hear you say "stay off the weed" in the A block. Like that's all you had to do. Professional tease. The guy's a pro.
He is a pro. I love Stephen A. Smith.
I don't watch him because I see him on the end of Get Up every morning, but I watch Get Up at 10 a.m. I don't get up at 8 a.m. I watch Get Up at 10 a.m. So
I love Stephen A. Smith. I get that it's a shtick, and I think he even understands. Like I don't hate that D'Angelo Russell's on weed. It's just if you think that that's a serious take, don't think that's a serious take because it's not the take.
I got news for you guys. The entire NBA is on weed.
All of them.
It was Al Harrington said in 2008? Yeah, 80% of this league smokes weed. I think Steven Jackson said he smoked with 80% of the league.
I love Steven Jackson too.
Jackson's a legend.
And then the last little news piece that caught some traction. I wanted to talk about last week, but never got to it. Jaylen Brown, the graduate of University of California, one of the
Berkeley. It's a really good school.
One of the more prestigious academic schools in the country.
Although Jared Goff did not know what side or what direction the sun rose and set in, and he went there also.
I want to make a concussions joke, but I probably shouldn't.
Marshawn Lynch also went there.
Well, and I think people don't give Marshawn enough credit sometimes because he has the personality of Oakland.
I run through a motherfucker's face.
Yeah. But Jaylen Brown tweeted, University of California grad, vice president of the NBA Players Association.
At 22.
One of the most well-spoken players in the league. My teacher said she'll look me up in Cobb County Jail in 5 years. Wow.
I was shocked to learn he was from Cobb County.
I was shocked to learn he's from Cobb County. I knew he was from Cobb County, but it still always is a little jarring that I'm like, Jaylen Brown came out of Cobb County. 2, what a dumb fucking teacher. Like, you couldn't have been more wrong.
Teachers say the wildest things sometimes.
And it was, like, there was the take that NBA players, I'm sure a lot of them have heard this. Like, Derrick Rose probably heard this, and the teacher was probably right about him. But like, he
didn't know how wet he was. They had never seen him hoop.
He had probably heard this. There's like Fab Melo probably heard this.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, R.I.P. There's plenty of NBA players, I'm sure, who heard this. The fact that Jaylen Brown heard this shocks me.
Yeah, it's. I don't know what he was like as a kid, obviously, but if he's anything like as he is as an adult, it seems like
when
that's
did
not the right
say
kid to say that to.
He said in 2014.
That's
5 years ago.
He was like
he was 17.
Sophomore, junior in high school.
He was 17 years old. He was probably a senior. Senior.
Maybe I'd get somebody saying that to a kid in middle school to scare him, like try and put him back on the right path. But he's like you've seen him play. He's in high school. You know who he is.
Yeah.
Why are you saying that to him?
He's 17 years old. He's played really good ball. You've seen him filling out
places.
You've seen him filling out college applications to University of Cal Berkeley.
You've seen him filling out period. He's 6'8", carved like Michelangelo. Like,
dude walks into a room, looks like Kawhi Leonard, and you're like, that guy's going to jail.
Yeah.
Like, what a dumb fucking teacher. This is just
Cobb County can't, schools.
That's very fair, but no, I was just stunned that who would tell Jaylen Brown he's going to go to jail? I would never tell Jaylen Brown he's going to go to jail.
My first grade teacher told my mom I was going to lead kids to hell once at a parent-teacher conference. First one of the year, the first few weeks into school.
When I was a junior, I had a physics teacher tell me that if I didn't sharpen up my act, basically she told me I'd be in jail. But it was like, no, I'm not going to be in fucking jail. I'm just an asshole in your class because you stink.
Yeah.
Was basically what it was. It was like,
if you did a better job teaching, I wouldn't act like such a clown in your class.
It was also unfortunate. It was the class with 7 people who were all squirrely dickheads. Yeah, and all of us together just got wound up.
Yeah, I went to an all-dudes school. That happened with all of us all the time.
It was probably excellent. Yeah. God damn. Imagine, she's got to feel horrible. I'm assuming, she'll look me up. She's got to feel awful. That tweet resurfaces, and then she sees it in the news. Somebody's like, hey, who is Jaylen Brown's teacher who told me he was going to be in the Cobb County jail? I just want to talk.
They're going to find out. Yeah.
I just want to talk.
We'll find out who it is.
She's got, wow, I couldn't have been more wrong. Like, every time she turns on the TV and sees an NBA highlight from the Celtics, and she's just like, I swore he'd be in Cobb County jail.
I really, really thought he was going to get like a BNE or a DUI. Like, something was going to happen with him. Nope, he went like 3rd overall out of Berkeley.
Pretty good. 22 years old. He's played what?
Probably the best player from Berkeley since Jason Kidd. I can't think of another one off the top of my head in between. Maybe there's somebody I'm forgetting, but probably the best one since Jason Kidd.
He is 22 years old, and he's played in 42 playoff games.
It's a solid start. It's a real solid start.
That's a Klay Thompson start. That's what that is.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
Okay, so before we get into the playoffs, I want to talk a little bit about bad basketball. Because James Dolan's getting sued.
This is a wild one to me. You told me, I just found this out like 20 minutes ago. You brought it up. I was like, how is Madison Square Garden suing the person who owns Madison? Like, who's suing him? Who's the plaintiff?
The MSG company shareholders filed a lawsuit against James Dolan. Filed in Delaware court, the lawsuit alleges that Dolan's pay in recent years is excessive compared to that of executives at other entertainment companies.
Which doesn't seem right to me. Like, the Garden is the world's most famous arena. Why does the guy who owned it only make $25 million a year?
Yeah, because the 63-year-old executive earned $75.6 million over the last 3 years compared to an average of $17 million for his peers, despite the fact that he works at MSG only part-time. But, like, that's part of the benefit of being the owner.
Like, yeah. Why does he... It's an arena. What's he going to do? Clean the bathrooms?
It's a suit that I don't really understand, but the favorite part, the plaintiffs also allege that Dolan spends an outsized portion of his time as the frontman and guitarist for his band.
JD and the Straight Shots.
JD and the Straight Shot. The suit notes that the band performed 50 times across 6 countries in 2017 alone, including gigs in 41 U.S. cities. One, I had no idea that James Dolan was getting gigs like this.
Oh, yeah.
2, what an outrageous thing to sue someone for.
I still don't know who's suing him. Like, it's Madison Square Garden. How can something you own be suing you?
A Madison Square Garden company. So maybe he owns the arena, but he doesn't own the company. A Madison Square Garden company spokesperson pushed back on the notion that Dolan is overpaid or distracted. Oh, yeah, arguing that he's created the equivalent of $3.4 billion in value for shareholders since the company was spun off from MSG Networks, and $2 billion since he became CEO.
Okay, so it's not all one company anymore?
I guess.
I thought. Okay, because I thought Madison, or whatever the company is that owns the entertainment company, owns the Knicks, and owns the network, and owns the Garden.
I don't know. It says he's CEO of it, and he's created like $3.4 billion for it, and he's taken home $75.6 million compared to an average
of... The Knicks alone are worth like $5 billion.
Right, and then he's like, compared to an average of $17 million for his peers, despite the fact he only works there part-time. But like his peers, you got to remember... They are managing arenas in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, and even then, like, the Knicks aren't the main draw for the Garden. There's 41 Knicks games a year. They sell them all out, but, like, I'm pretty sure Billy Joel does 20-plus concerts there.
Sure.
Like, every year. Like, the Garden's the world's most famous arena.
The New York Rangers.
Yeah. Like,
there's plenty that goes on at the Garden.
Is so much more than the Knicks.
It's the same thing with any arena, and it is the most famous arena in the world.
Yeah.
And, like, tickets for concerts, that you got... The Big East tournament is played at the Garden.
It is literally the world's most famous arena.
So, of course, he makes more money.
I was surprised he only pulled in 75 from owning the Garden over the last 3 years.
I can't wait to hear more about this. But from a basketball standpoint, it got me thinking. Because there was an argument that I've always argued I think the Knicks are the worst franchise in the NBA. Right now, it's on hold because if they manage to
There's a lot of bad franchises right now.
Right. But if they manage to get Kevin Durant and or Kyrie Irving and or Zion... they're in a really good place. James Dolan could still find a way to fuck it up, but they're in a really good place.
I mean, they're already worth $4 billion on their own. You imagine adding a Durant or adding a Zion?
Yeah.
I would sell if I were Dolan at that point. You're never getting more.
Seriously, if you have KD and Zion.
And if you can figure out a way to unload the Knicks without selling off your TV company and all those other things, do it. Like, they're worth so much money. Like, you risk someone being like, I'm going to move the Knicks to Seattle. Like, yeah, but I don't think the NBA is going to let that happen.
Yeah, run that one by Adam Silver real quick.
Good luck.
I would like to move the New York Knicks to Seattle.
Pistons are going there before the Knicks.
Hey, might not be the worst thing in the world.
It's more realistic than I think anyone in this town would like to give it credit for, but it is actually realistic.
Nobody wants to think that their team's getting moved.
Built a brand new facility in Midtown. They're trying to build a new thing at Wayne State, and they are prime candidate to be the one team that could get moved.
It's going to be the Detroit Drive as the farm team for the Seattle Supersonics.
It's going to be awesome. Those flights are going to be great for those kids.
Man. Yeah, so James Dolan getting sued made me think. Then there was the take that the current worst franchise in the NBA is the Chicago Bulls.
It's possible. They have so many young assets that it makes it difficult to think that they couldn't get good, but they're also the Bulls.
And they have Garpax, which is
Gar and Pax.
Yeah.
We say it's one person, but no, they're both on their own they both suck. Together, they're a disaster.
And it's I think it was Mixtape did the Would Your GM fight about it. And they were like, Chicago gets a yes because Garpax would fight each other.
Yeah.
That's so yes. But that's not exactly the situation that you want. And I started thinking, would I rather have James Dolan or would I rather have Garpax? And I really couldn't decide. Because James Dolan is a horrible, horrible, horrible owner.
He is.
He's probably the worst owner in sports.
In a way, he's been the worst owner in sports. I think of late, he's taken enough of us, from a purely operational standpoint. Optics-wise, the dude walks out of an arena and gets a guy thrown out for telling him to sell the team. He's the worst owner in that regard. But, from a purely operational standpoint, from a basketball standpoint, he fired Phil Jackson. He has gotten out of the way of these two. Scott Perry and Steve Mills have seemed to do a good job. He's going to spend the money. There's no question about it. It's not like
right.
James Dolan is going to be no, we don't. No, he's going to spend whatever he has to spend to get a winner. So in that regard, I'll take James Dolan. Garpax, you got to be able to get a free agent to Chicago. It's Chicago.
And that was the take that was this is why I think the Bulls are the worst franchise in the NBA right now. The Knicks, despite having no assets currently outside of a potential number one pick.
Draft picks and cap space.
Have all of these free agent rumors swirling around them. The Lakers, despite being an absolute tire fire, have tons of free agent rumors.
Cap space and a draft pick. Those are the assets. Now the season is over. We don't care about the players. I don't want Chris Dunn. I don't want Wendell Carter. He missed the last however many games. The draft picks are the great unknown.
Right.
And New York got 2 of them for Kristaps Porzingis and unloaded a ton. They are loaded with draft picks and young talent.
And that's where it's the Bulls have good players. Wendell Carter's a good player.
Zach LaVine is the perfect second or third option on a good team.
Lauri Markkanen is really
Baby
good.
Dirk, and that's not an exaggeration at all.
Really
the dude's
good.
20.
And they can't get a free agent. There's no shot because nobody wants to work with Garpax. Nobody wants to go and play in Chicago. And you made the argument, the stupid-ass mentality, you will never be Jordan.
No, you'll never get to, it'll always be Michael City. But even on top of that, what the hell was Otto Porter coming in for Bobby Portis?
Yeah, not great.
I get you dumped Jabari, but he was on a 1-year deal anyways. You didn't have to, whatever. You're paying Otto Porter now. You know how much money Otto Porter makes? $30 million a year.
Way too much. I can tell you it's way too much.
They overpaid for LaVine. I hope you get John Morant. I hope it works out. Probably not gonna, but good luck.
And you said, imagine if they get Zion. There's no shot.
It's tough for them to get Zion. They get less than a 14% chance.
Which it could work out. I'd be stunned if that's how it happened. But I'm still I'm 100% sold that this is going to Cleveland.
I'll be so mad. I don't want him in Cleveland. I don't. I'd rather have him in Phoenix.
I would rather have him in Phoenix. My ideal location is still Atlanta.
I like Monty Williams. The Phoenix hiring Monty Williams is a little bit of a game changer for me. He's a really good coach.
He is good.
I don't think they're going to be great next year, but they've got a guy now. Not that I think Igor Kokoskov was a bad coach. He was a very good coach.
Monty Williams is a very good coach, and I know it wouldn't be the right thing because Philly is so all in, but he could have been a head coach of Philly if they wanted to.
I think Philly's going to go get somebody. If they don't get out of this round, they get out of this round, Brett Brown keeps his job. But if they don't get out of this round, then I think they got to go get somebody like a Van Gundy or a Jackson. Not even Jackson, a Van Gundy or a McHale or somebody who can coach that team who's been there and in those big moments.
All right, let's get into it. Let's start with that because they played today. And they had a really good chance to go up 3-1, essentially end the Raptors season, because you don't come back from being down 3-1 in this league.
Be tough, mighty tough.
It does happen. Golden State did it. Golden State also blew it.
Yeah.
It does happen occasionally, but it's very, very rare.
If the other team doesn't have Russell Westbrook taking 50 shots a game, it's very difficult.
Correct. And if the other team doesn't have LeBron James, it's very, very difficult.
It becomes exceedingly more difficult.
If you have Kyle Lowry, it's virtually impossible.
I mean, but if you got Kawhi Leonard shooting over 60% for the series.
The one thing I want to say about Kawhi, the take that he's currently the best player in the NBA needs to cool off.
Yeah, I mean, KD is doing things that are just absolutely nuts. You mean the best player currently playing in the playoffs? Yeah, like KD.
No, I just like currently in the league.
Oh,
there are. He is the best player currently in the NBA, and I'm like, he's.
I know LeBron's not playing, but
top five
LeBron's
for sure.
Still here, like he's still here. Like Kawhi though, like he had 39 points on 20 shots. Like,
dude, he's been out of his mind.
He's doing Jordan stuff. Like, he's legitimately doing Jordan stuff. And I don't give a shit about 7 turnovers today. Like, he had to do it. He had to put the ball in his hands and just go.
Pascal Siakam did not play well early.
Yeah, he's fighting it. I mean, he was 2 for 10. He had 9 points.
He was not, like, he kind of got into it in the fourth, but again, it was like, he hit a shot.
They weren't guarding him from deep.
Yeah,
like,
and
they
were
letting him shoot it.
You could tell the injury bug, and that's why I think Philly still has a shot. Because again, Philly had a chance.
Still has a shot.
Philly had a chance to win this, and Embiid played horribly.
Yeah, well, the story came out before the game that he had texted Brett Brown at 6:00 in the morning and said, "I've never felt worse in my entire life. I might not play." And he played anyways. He gutted it out, but like the numbers were piss poor at best. I mean,
he really didn't play well.
Yeah, at 11 points on 2 for 7. Like, you got to take more than 7 shots.
The other takeaway I have from this Philly, like the fact that they had a chance to go up 3-1 and they went 2-2. When games in the playoffs get to clutch time, half of their roster becomes a liability.
We need to call out Tobias. I've
Tobias Harris
praised Tobias Harris.
Tobias Harris is Oklahoma City Carmelo Anthony right now.
Tobias Harris was abysmal today. Like at best, 2 for 13 from deep, and they were not bad looks. He got open looks consistently and shot 7 for 23. He played 41 minutes. Like, you got to be better. You're going to play 41 minutes.
He very literally was Oklahoma City Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, because Jimmy Butler has been outstanding in these last 3 games.
And we didn't get to talk about it because it happened after our last show, but the James Butler comment from Brett Brown and then Jimmy Butler coming up and saying, my actual name is Jimmy. No. Let's go ahead and make it James because
James is all right.
He's playing like the best person in the NBA with the name James at the moment.
The first name James. Yeah.
Well, either way.
The guy with the last name James ain't playing.
Anywhere the name James is in your name, Jimmy Butler is playing the best of all of them at the moment.
He's been outstanding. Like,
he was incredible.
It's the same story
today
for them, though. They're going as Embiid goes. Like, when Embiid's good, they got a chance. Marc Gasol actually shot the ball today, which is huge. If he's making threes, like, they need that because it pulls Embiid out and it opens up the glass. But, I mean, they started the fourth quarter with Ibaka and Gasol and left him out there for a while. Toronto got down in the fourth quarter to basically like 6 guys. Fred VanVleet is a ghost in this series. Played 7 minutes tonight.
He's actually at a point where they can't play him.
Norman Powell didn't play the second half. I mean, you look at the minutes tonight, and it goes Siakam 29, Kawhi 43, Gasol 40, Lowry 41, Green 40, Ibaka 32, and that's it. Nobody else played more than 10. VanVleet was 7, McCall with 5, Powell with 4.
And
they got to 6 guys.
That's the weird thing about this too, is because like after game 1, we were like, look,
and going into
Toronto's just way deeper. Like
going into it,
you can pull Ibaka and Fred VanVleet and Patrick McCaw off the bench.
I mean, Jeremy Lin's not playing. Patrick McCaw played in this game. I never thought that was going to happen.
Not having OG Anunoby at this point is hurting.
Just because it's another guy who can switch. Like, you can switch him, and he can hit shots when he's open. Like, just to have a body. Like, they were down to 6 guys. They need bodies.
Kyle Lowry's playing the way he plays in the playoffs. That's a problem.
Yeah, like, he's going to get credit for a decent game today. That was, like, at best a decent game. 14, 6, and 7 is not an all-star point guard. Like, I'm sorry. You're an all-star point guard. And you're making 14, 6, and 7 seem good because of how bad you were before. 14, 6, and 7 on less than 50%. In less than 35 from deep is not a good game.
No.
Like,
same goes for the Philly point guard, who just has to be better. You cannot have 10, 5, and 4 in a playoff game on 5 of 10 shooting. And the biggest problem with him is when you get late in
only 2 free throws.
Yeah, also bad. But when you get, which the foul shooting to me at this point, the way the rate he's missing them is almost worse than the lack of a distance shot or even a mid-range jumper.
Sure.
Like the foul shoot, because he's a guy who can dominate in the paint and get to the line. But if you can't make the free throws, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like Giannis right now is doing the same thing, but he's hitting 77%. So it's fine.
And he's getting to the line every time he goes in the paint.
Which we'll get to. Yeah. But Ben Simmons being a minus 16 on the game, and that's actually reflective of how he played. Because in late game situations in the playoffs, in the clutch moments, you almost can't have him on the floor.
You can, but like he's relegated to the dunker spot. Like he has to go down and play off the block and just be the guy for the handoff in case they collapse. Because like you can't have the ball in his hands. You could see it today when they switched Kawhi off him because he just stopped trying to do, like, Kawhi was guarding him for most of the game. And then it was like, well, Ben Simmons isn't trying to do anything on offense, so put Danny Green on him and move Kawhi over here.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Philly can't score, and they don't know what to do. So the second they took Kawhi off Ben Simmons was a huge turning point for me.
Well, and the same thing when they started switching Kawhi off of Ben Simmons, using pick and rolls to switch him onto Embiid late in the game, and then Kawhi was just hitting threes. Mm-hmm. And it was, like, I'm really at a point with Ben Simmons where late in the games, clutch moment, like it happened with against Brad Stevens last year and against the Celtics. In clutch moments, they made him worthless. And it just, like, Nick Nurse isn't some basketball genius. Nick Nurse has coached pretty badly in this series, I would argue.
I feel like we're giving him a bad, maybe not.
Dude, I don't know. That timeout call today was one of the worst I've ever seen.
There are some certain things, but like he is down to 6 guys. Like he's trying to make it work with 6 guys because Van Vliet was basically unplayable. Like, and I mean, they were running lineups with Ibaka and Gasol. We didn't see that at all in the regular season. Yeah. They didn't even try to do that after the trade deadline. Like, they held that for like a good 5 minutes to start the fourth quarter, and it actually worked. Like,
but so, my point is with Ben Simmons, it doesn't matter who your coach is. It doesn't matter how smart the X's and O's are. If your team has talent, if you're not playing the Brooklyn Nets late in a game, he's worthless.
And a quick aside, like we talked about Nick Nurse for a second, like Brooklyn found ways to attack JJ Redick.
Oh, yeah.
Why the hell has Toronto not found ways to attack JJ Redick?
There have been opportunities.
Yeah, like, they're not fine. Like, they're trying to get him off a switch on Kawhi. Like, it's just not working. You got to find a way to go at him.
That's one of the more surprising things about this playoffs is I thought, like, talent-wise, it would be really fun, and it has been. I also thought coaching would be better than it has been. Overall, coaching hasn't been great. Anyway.
I mean, Bud basically was like, yeah, I don't want to coach. We won't make adjustments. We'll just figure it out. Like,
and then he did make an adjustment, but it was starting Ersan Ilyasova because he had to.
Right.
Like, it was an adjustment because of an injury. It wasn't an adjustment because of an adjustment.
No. And, like,
fortunately for them, the Celtics blew their diaper in 2 straight games, and so it worked.
Quick back to Philly for a quick second. Just one quick question. Who's more important as a free agent to them, Redick or Harris?
Does it have to be between those two? Because I think Jimmy Butler's their most important.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're gonna try to keep Jimmy Butler. We have seen that now in the playoffs. You need Jimmy Butler. Yeah, I'm saying Redick too. Like, 6 for 9 today and 19 points. Like, he's not going to demand so valuable for that.
He's not going to demand a max or near max. And like Tobias is going to get a max or near max contract.
You have, like, if I'm Philly, I'm doing whatever it takes to keep JJ Redick. If he wants a 3-year for 30, give it to him. Like,
sure.
just to keep him.
Sure.
Like,
because they need that spacing really badly.
They have to have him.
Like, right now, they're relying on James Ennis to get in and add to the spacing on this team.
JJ Redick is not good enough defensively to play 35 minutes a night against the Raptors. And he's playing 35 minutes a night against the Raptors.
That's the other problem with this team that I see that just sticks out to me. And it's like I said when they went down 1-0, I was like, I don't know how they can make this series competitive. And then they went and threw it in my face, and Joel Embiid had 2 amazing games.
Joel Embiid and Jimmy, like, those two together have been pretty damn good.
And they went up 2-1, and it's gotten to the point where I almost am leaning towards picking them in 7. Like, I almost am like, I think Philly can win this thing in 7.
I picked Toronto to come out of the East, so I feel like I can't come off them in this series. If they go down, they go down. I will blame everything on Kyle Lowry, and
you'll probably be right.
Yeah, and we'll go from there. But I'm sticking with, I picked Toronto in 6.
And if Philly goes down, I'm going to blame everything on Ben Simmons, and I'll probably be right. Because it's just...
And it's Tobias Harris, too.
Right, but like at least Tobias Harris, he can have an off shooting night, and he can play badly, but at least he is creating spacing. When you have Ben Simmons on the floor, and then you have Joel Embiid, who's only taking 7 shots in a game and is 0 of 1 from 3, you're not getting any space. And that's part of the problem with their, like, the ability for their offense to run, is you're not creating anywhere for Jimmy Butler to go. and he's playing really well. So you need to do that.
It'll be interesting if they do fire Brett. Like if they lose and they do fire Brett Brown, what those meetings are like with potential coaches and what the ideas are for Simmons, like and who they hire, and based on if they base who they hire on, or if they base who they hire on what they're going to do with Simmons. It'll be very interesting to see what somebody wants to do with Simmons, and if it becomes maybe we move him.
I think it's got to be an option.
Like you could get a boatload for him in the right spot. Like if Magic were still running things in LA, they could have got the farm for Ben Simmons from the Lakers in a heartbeat.
And maybe they still could.
It's possible.
And that's where I look at like Ben Simmons, and if I'm the Sixers, you have two options. You can either extend him on a rookie max, or you can trade him before you give him that contract, and you'll trade his bird rights, you'll trade his supermax rights. Mm-hmm. He's already a top 20 to top 15 talent. You will get everything and more back, and you won't have all of that money committed to one player who has a very large fault in his game.
The only difficulty with that is you change your timeline. Because if you're re-signing Butler and you trade Simmons and you get even younger than Simmons, like Simmons is the same age as Ingram, Simmons is more ready, like clearly, to be a championship caliber player. Even though Ingram has a skill set offensively, like it's very clear who could play in the finals and be effective and who couldn't right now.
Yeah.
Like if you trade Simmons and get a little bit younger, you throw your timeline off a little bit. Now you could trade Simmons to a team that maybe like a New Orleans. Like
sure, and again, like if you trade Simmons to New Orleans and get back a Drew Holiday, are you really throwing the timeline off that much?
If you get back an Anthony Davis and play Twin Tower ball, like.
See, I think that gets a little more iffy. I think if you trade him and you get back Drew Holiday,
wouldn't that be something, Drew Holiday to come back from Philly? New Orleans? They traded Nerlens Noel for Drew Holiday?
Wouldn't be bad. You get an elite defensive. Like right now, if you're picking a point guard, are you taking Drew Holiday or are you taking Ben Simmons?
It was Carter. It was the Carter Williams and Nerlens Noel for Drew Holiday, right? Yeah. No, I'll take Ben Simmons.
See,
for defense. You said defensively.
No, I'm just saying all around guard play. Would you take Drew Holiday or Ben Simmons?
Yeah, I'm going to take Ben Simmons.
I feel like it's closer than just...
It's closer, but like I'll take the unicorn. I'll take the 6'10" guy who, if he learns a mid-range game, could win MVP.
But that's a really big if.
It's a really big if, but I know for a fact Drew Holiday's not going to be an MVP, and I don't know that about Ben Simmons.
That's like the ceiling's definitely higher, but I think like...
I know for a fact Drew Holiday's not starting the All-Star game next year. I don't know that about Ben Simmons.
I'm pretty confident Ben Simmons isn't starting the All-Star game. If Kyrie stays in the East, I'm pretty confident that Ben Simmons isn't starting. Yeah, but like...
It was Kemba.
True.
Like, who's he got? Brad Beal?
It's not like Dame's coming to the East.
Yeah, like maybe Jimmy. Like Jimmy would be the only guy who
John Wall's not even going to play.
No, John Wall's not going to play. Brad Beal's probably not going to be on a good team or in the East. Who knows?
But again, that's situational.
Yeah.
Like I do know. How about this? Drew Holiday could be an All-NBA third-team player next year. I don't know that Ben Simmons can.
I think he could. I think both those things are true. I'm going to take Simmons. I just like he can do more. I know he's not doing more down the stretch, and Holiday was great in that playoff series last year, but like Simmons...
And it's also like Simmons
is very, like, maybe a step away from being an elite rim protector.
Simmons is extremely good defensively, too, and it's like Drew Holiday also is, but
that's
Simmons
where the value for
way
Holiday
more versatile.
Yeah, like that's
more versatile.
I mean, Ben Simmons can guard fives.
Yeah,
like Holiday can guard select fives, but not everybody.
Holiday can guard fives the same way Marcus Smart can guard fives, which is... Marcus Smart can guard fives better than Holiday, but it's like...
Probably.
You're not guarding them the way Ben Simmons is guarding them.
No, like Ben Simmons is as tall as them.
Let's talk about the other game that happened today, and you'll have to fill me in a little bit on the fourth quarter because I saw Dame time was happening, but I was watching Thrones.
It happened for a minute. It was more CJ time. Got him back into it at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Hit a couple of nice shots. Rodney Hood hit another big shot. He's been playing great. But in the end, it was too much Jokic and too much Murray. And I tweeted this when it happened, like, Murray against Dame has been infinitely better than Russ against Dame.
Sure.
Like, infinitely better. Like, Jamal Murray is way more fun to watch take on Dame. He was great tonight.
Russ stinks. I'm at a point where I'm ready to just say Russ is not that good.
And I want to give Dame all the credit in the world because everybody knows how much of a Dame guy I am, but Nikola Jokic has been the best player on the floor in this series.
Oh, and he had an ideal game today.
Another triple-double.
Like his ideal game.
He played 60-plus minutes the other night. Look at that guy. He should not be able to play 60-plus minutes and turn around and have a triple-double
he
the
was
next game.
He was going to die at the end of that game, too.
I mean, like...
But then he goes for 21, 12, and 11.
And he was outstanding all game long.
And he did it on 15 shots. Well, Jamal Murray took 20, and Gary Harris took 14, excuse me.
And Gary Harris's defense has been great.
Jokic only having to take 15 shots while guys like Will Barton, and Will Barton didn't shoot great, but he can come in and he can take 14 shots.
He hit 2 big threes down the stretch in the fourth quarter. They were huge for them.
So there you go. You have Will Barton making plays. You have Paul Millsap playing well and making his opportunities. You've got Gary Harris taking shots and making them. Not at a great clip, but respectively.
Timely, though. Timely shots.
Jamal Murray playing really, really well. It's like, this is ideal for Jokic because he doesn't have to carry the load offensively, and he really doesn't want to.
He was limping. At the end, he hurt his knee or something. He looked like he just tweaked it a little bit, but they were subbing him out offense, defense, because, he's just like, they will get slaughtered by Golden State. Like, absolutely slaughtered. But that does not mean that Denver is not a good team and didn't have a great year and didn't have a year to build off of. Because, yes, if they play Golden State, Portland is a much better matchup for Golden State. I was going
to say, I don't think Portland gets slaughtered.
Yeah, Portland won't get slaughtered. But, we've seen what Golden State did to Denver this year. They were in the 2 seed all year, and every time they played, they were like, no. There's a gap.
Yeah.
And, they will slaughter them alive. But at the same time, Jokic has more than proven that he is, without a doubt, a top 5 MVP candidate. I picked Embiid for first team, and I know how good Embiid has been. I almost want to change my pick.
The one thing I can say for, all right, one, I agree because I had Jokic first team anyways. Mm-hmm. He's been just special all year. But the one thing I wanted to say for Portland is having this Jokic game where he has the triple-double on 21, 11 assists, whatever he had, the same time that Damian Lillard went 9 of 22 might be a good thing because at least you got both of those things out of the way in the same game rather than having to overcome them.
His best game.
Rather than having to overcome them on separate nights.
Yeah. And the same thing that happened with Philly today, I think, is you could say with Portland. It's like it's that loss that can give you pause because you didn't play terrible, but you didn't play great, but you lost at home.
Right.
And that's when it's tough, where it's like, if you get killed, you can kind of wipe it and be like, we just played like shit. But you were right there, and you couldn't finish it at home. They got, so close at the end. CJ hit a long 2 that was almost a 3, but there was Scotty right on it, Foster, ready to call it a 2. And
Scott Foster.
It was a hell of a game, though. Really great game. Dame and Jamal Murray down the stretch. Jamal Murray going to the free throw line, ice water in his veins the whole night. Outstanding.
He
absolutely yammed over Enes Kanter in this game too.
I've been on I don't know if Jamal Murray can be consistent enough to be consistent.
He's been great in big games.
He's been really good lately. Yeah. And it's at a point now I can't even go against
offensively,
his consistency.
He's a turnstile.
Oh,
yeah, he's a turnstile defensively, but they have Harris, so they don't need him to guard the best guard.
And again, it's guard defense. Yeah, we've been over this.
Yeah, that's why you pay Gary Harris $84 million.
If Jamal Murray's going to get 10 for 20 every night, and give you 20 points, give you 34 points.
Dame doesn't just have a 9 for 22. That doesn't just happen. You got to bother him. And Gary Harris has been outstanding on Damian Lillard.
It's that Tom Izzo defense. Big 10 guy.
He just moved. He's got the perfect guard defense body. The high hips, the broad shoulders. He's long. He can stay in front of guys. He's been great.
He really has.
Cook, though. CJ's been awesome.
Gary, he was most improved player a couple years ago, wasn't he? Gary Harris?
No, he didn't win.
He was close. Was he a finalist?
It's possible, but he hasn't won it.
Anyway, I love Gary Harris. I'm glad to see him playing really well because it wasn't a great start to his career, and now
his first year was about statistically as bad as any shooting guard has ever been in their rookie year.
Yeah, and he's come a long way. Yeah. All right, so let's go back to the East. Bucks Celtics. Celtics are down 2-1 after the blowout win in Game 1. I think they woke up the Bucks.
Yeah, I'd say.
Giving up over 120 points in each of these games is not great.
It's a tough one.
Not great.
I mentioned it before we started. Kyrie was very bad on defense. He had one of his worst defensive games of the season. In a year where he's been pretty good on defense, he was not.
Which, the game before that, he had one of his worst offensive games of his career. And then the game after, he had one of the worst defensive games of his career.
He was falling asleep. They back cut him a couple times and just got layups. There were certain things where it's like, Kyrie, you got to be a little more locked in. Or they just miss Smart. It's one of the two.
Which, by the way, sounds like he's going to play tomorrow night. Tonight. Sounds like he's going to play tonight.
That'd be awesome.
But while you're listening to this, Marcus Smart may be taking the court for the Boston Celtics.
He's getting out of the cold tub.
Likewise, Malcolm Brogdon might be taking the court for the Milwaukee Bucks.
It's one to watch, man. George Hill was outstanding the other night, too, though. He was really, really good.
Yeah, and again, that's...
Which made up for Bledsoe being really, really bad.
Bledsoe has not been good in this series at all, and
he
that's
had an
where
okay game too.
Yeah, but it was like what we said about Kyle Lowry's going to get a lot of credit for being average.
Right, I think he had a better game too than Kyle Lowry had.
I have to go back and look.
This
but
game.
in his game 3 was atrocious. And then, like, again, you said George Hill killed him. George Hill's not going to go 9 of 12 for 21 points
on the
again.
Road. Yeah,
it's not happening.
Yeah, Bledsoe
again.
had 21 on 7 for 12. That's a pretty good Bledsoe night in game 2.
The other thing, I'm not going to lean into it too much because it's just such a stupid excuse, and I hate to go to it. The third quarter officiating was some of the worst I've ever seen.
It was tough.
It was the foul on Jaylen Brown when he walked up to Eric Bledsoe, who was turned around at the hash, and Jaylen Brown put a hand on his back, and they whistled him for it.
Kenny Mauer, man, like that slick back hair. Every time I see it, I just
We got the Tony Brothers game in game 2, which, like, this is the one where I will say there's something going on with the officiating because it's odd when a team is 1-10 in games where that referee is the head official.
I mean, the thing about the playoffs is it's the same refs over and over again. And while I get that they're the best refs, that means they're overworked.
Right.
Like, I mean, you see Scott Foster in Houston 2 nights ago and today in Portland.
Yeah.
Like, they're overworked. I know they're great officials, but they're overworked. And Kenny Mauer's old, man. Like, he's old. I know you don't want to put Merritt Kogut on these games and guys like that, and I can't blame you. He's not doing playoff games because he's not a good ref. But at the same time, like, you got to find a way to get these guys some rest.
Yeah.
These are not 30-year-old athletes.
Right. And you're making them run the floor with these guys.
I mean,
and then they have to make these calls, and just some of these calls are so bad, and they change the game. But much worse, I would argue, Jason Tatum played a good game. He finally showed up.
Yeah.
He was 7 of 14 on the night, 20 points, but 0 of 5 from 3.
yeah, it's a tough one.
Worse than that, Gordon Hayward sucked. Just in every aspect.
He wasn't aggressive.
He wasn't good defensively. He wasn't aggressive. His shot selection was piss poor. At the end of the game, when they had a comeback opportunity, and he opted for some bullshit mid-range step back instead of kicking it for an open three-pointer or attacking the rim and trying to get an and-one, it's like, that's the game.
You've been on the lack of the pick and pop.
Oh,
Like,
in the third quarter, okay, this is the stat that I tweeted out. In game 1, what did Al Horford have in game 1? I got to go back and look at this. Because he was incredible. Him and
he was great.
Kyrie
The
had
pick and
11
pop
assists.
was outstanding.
Horford had
He had
20 points.
Yeah.
I got to see what his shooting was, but it felt like Kyrie
8 for 16, 50%.
Yeah, Kyrie
3
would
for
come
5 from
off.
deep.
Kyrie would come off the screen, come off over the pick and roll, and just find Horford in the mid range for an easy pull up jumper.
And deep. I mean, he was 3 for 5 from deep. I bet all 3 of those were off pick and pops with Kyrie.
It takes advantage of what Bud loves to do when he sinks his bigs. And now he's been switching Brook Lopez onto Kyrie, which has somehow been effective, even though it shouldn't be. But again, it's also like they're not really going to the Horford option nearly as much because in the third quarters of the last 2 games, Horford has 1 shot attempt.
And they're getting away from it. Like, we said it with Kyrie, and I read you the stat before. It's the same. Zach Lowe had it in his series preview, was that Boston ran 30 Irving Horford pick and rolls per 100 possessions against Indiana in the first round. And they should up that to 40. They're less than 20.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
And it was the best set they ran in game 1.
Not even with Horford, with Brown too. Like, they were running the pick and pop effectively with whoever they were running it with. And that's the thing I was getting to with Hayward. I talk about it seemingly every week on here. Gordon Hayward snaking the pick and roll is outstanding. You can't speed him up. He goes at his own pace. He weasels in. He can hit the floater. He can stop and pop, and he can get all the way to the rim. They're not running that for him.
There's something up with Gordon Hayward still.
Could be, yeah.
Like, it's just he looks himself one night, and then the next night, not even close.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to hate on the guy.
It feels like piling on. Like,
right.
it still feels like piling on. But at some point...
After this year, I don't think it's piling on anymore. He had a whole healthy year. If he gets through this year healthy, next year the expectation has to be that he's an all-star player again, and he is every night, not just showing the flashes like he did.
And it is like you're in the playoffs. It's 33 minutes. Dude, you got to play.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, you just got to play.
I mean, you're in shape. It's not like you're not in shape.
We've seen
Trust
him.
your body.
We've seen him look healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's gone away from it.
Like, I'm not saying the bounce is all the way back, but he can move.
Now, if Smart comes back for the Monday night game 4, I don't know if the Bucks can win it.
Do you start him?
I almost think you do. Because Jalen's been playing so well, I think if you drop him into the second unit with Gordon Hayward, it offers like another steady hand for Hayward to play with.
Yeah.
Instead of Hayward having to be super ball dominant with Terry Rozier and Hayward having to get to his spots on every single possession.
Terry
it gives
Rozier
someone
could
else
be a lot better for them too. Like, he hasn't been bad, but like he could do more. I mean, granted, he played 14 minutes. He took 3 shots, but like,
here's what I'm going to say though: is I would rather him have 14 minutes, no points on 0 of 3 shooting, than have 21 minutes and 2 points on one of 12.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. And Kyrie played 42 minutes, so yeah.
As long as you're getting that, and Kyrie played not great, but it was not horrible. And again, like he had 2 really bad shooting nights in back-to-back games. I have a feeling he's going to come out in game 3 or game 4. I keep saying game 3, game 4, and just light it up.
I hope so.
But that's one thing I said on Twitter again. I said, if Boston wants to win this series, now they're down 2-1, you need game 5 Kyrie every night.
I need Boston or Toronto in the finals. Like, I don't want it to be Philly because as good as Jimmy Butler and Embiid has been, that's not fun to watch against Golden State. Some team trying to hammer it down.
You tweeted earlier.
Low.
You said I need Kawhi versus KD.
Kawhi versus KD would be the one for me that it would be the
fine.
best matchup. Like, but I'll take Kyrie because Kyrie can
versus
cook
KD
the hell out of them
also
too.
a really good
There's
matchup.
nobody on Philly that's going to cook them like that. They're just going to try to bully them down low. Same thing with Giannis. Like they're just going to try to bully him. I want somebody who can go one-on-one and just cook, and that's Kyrie or Kawhi. I want Kawhi because Kawhi's been insane right now.
Dude, he's out of his mind.
And because I think he can defend 4 different Warriors.
But that's, again, like like I said, we need game 5 Kyrie every night now. And that's where it's time. Like you said, this is what you signed up for. Prove it. Because otherwise, I don't think they get out of this series.
You got to win 3 or 4 now, right?
Yeah, and you don't have home court anymore.
Yeah.
You gave it up. So win tomorrow, make it 2-2, and we're talking.
Sure,
but you're cooking with gas at that point. But
it's a series. Like Milwaukee's not rattling off 2 more in a row. Boston's not done yet.
No, and I don't think Boston loses 2 straight at home.
No, this is at least 6, at the very least 6.
And then the other one is Golden State and Houston, which you think Golden State's going to win. I think all of these series end up at 2-2 by the end of tomorrow or by the end of tonight.
I think it's very possible it ends up 2-2. I'm not like saying the Rockets don't have a chance. I just think that this series is not as close as people think it is.
Which is probably true.
When I watch it, I'm like, Golden State is considerably better than them. It is not a close margin.
I do think that Portland might be closer to them than Houston is.
I think it's if Nurkic is playing, like they're without a doubt the best matchup right now. Houston, like James Harden's not playing well, and you can say it's the eye, but he wasn't playing well in those last 3 against Utah. Like Chris Paul is not assertive. Chris Paul had a 40-point game against the Warriors in the conference finals last year. Like these are things they're just not getting. PJ Tucker doesn't shoot. They're relying on Iman Shumpert to hit big shots down the stretch for them in that game. Like it took Steph's worst game of probably the last 3 years for them to get a win at home. Like it's just
in overtime.
Yeah, and Clint Capella again, not really present for that one. Like again,
no, he was bad.
Draymond has completely taken him out of this series.
Here's a stat: James Harden in 45 minutes had 41 points on 14 of 32, 5 of 13 from deep, 8 of 8 at the free throw line, 9 rebounds and 6 assists in a win. And somehow he was a -4.
Clint Capella had 13 and 11. I think he was. I don't remember what his plus minus was, but it was like -11 at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Yeah, I mean, Draymond is like they don't have a big guy. They're having to play with PJ Tucker at the 5 and Shumpert or Rivers in. Like the Hamptons 5 is giving them all sorts of different problems. If Steph starts making shots, if Klay starts making shots, this thing's done in 5. Like I'm dead serious. If those 2 dudes have a big game, like. It's over quick because KD has been unreal. Like KD is playing as well as I've ever seen Kevin Durant play basketball.
Yeah,
and like that includes Rucker Park.
No, and he's playing as well as I've maybe seen anyone ever play basketball.
I mean, he's been,
like I'm fully okay with saying that.
He's been outstanding.
Giannis has been like a machine in the Celtics series outside of Game 1, but he had a bad Game 1.
Yeah, but
he had a really bad Game 1.
KD's just making it look like it's not even different.
Right, and Giannis is like getting to the free throw line at a record pace. Like he's going to finish with probably the same number of free throws as Dwayne Wade had in the 2006 finals.
Yeah, and that 2006 finals probably took 3 years off Dwayne Wade's career. Like the abuse he took in that final. Like
what did he shoot? 92 free throws,
something like that. I mean, he averaged 35 a game, and it seemed like at least 20% of that was free throws.
But that's like Kevin Durant, ever since he said, I am Kevin Durant in the Clippers series. I am Kevin Durant. Yeah. He's had like 40 points every game.
He's been unreal. Like, he has been, I'm serious. Like, Draymond Green over these last 4 games, too, these 3 games in this series and Game 6 against the Clippers, if Steph Curry has been the worst Warrior. Like, that's a fact. And Klay Thompson's probably the second worst. And if those 2 dudes start picking it up the way Iguodala's been playing, I really think it's over in 5. I really think they can win the next 2.
And like I want to say
Houston
it,
in
but
7. Like it still could be, but like
that's kind of where I'm like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Houston in 7, but I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, Steph always breezed through the Western Conference playoffs when he would play. A lot of times he wouldn't even play in the Western Conference playoffs, and he gets to finals. Finals Steph sometimes has been lackluster.
He could have won Finals MVP last year. There was a legitimate case for him to be Finals MVP.
Yeah.
But KD hitting those shots.
Probably 2016 or 2015 when Iguodala got it, too. There was an argument that it could have been Curry. There was also an argument it could have been LeBron. But anyways, no, there are nights where in the finals against tougher competition, Steph has been lackluster. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I feel like is different with this Golden State team, I'm backing down on they're more vulnerable. I'm backing down on they're not as good. Everyone else is just way better than they've ever been.
Yeah, that's real. The league definitely caught up. I still think like people want to say that the injury thing with Steph, like no, he was just terrible.
Yeah, he
like,
was bad.
That wasn't anything. Like he couldn't make layups. He missed a dunk. Like I don't know what the hell you're doing. He said the reasoning for going up for the dunk, I felt good. You're about to lose the game. Why'd you feel good? Like I don't get that one. But
that was one of the worst looking plays.
I just think if they play up to par and they get all 5 guys to play up to par, that they are a whole world better than Houston.
But again, and I think they do win this series, but then I look at the Western Conference Finals. If you get Portland, and I'm like...
That one's going 7, though. Like, if Golden State wraps this up quick, that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
Because that one's going 7.
And I do think Portland's giving them a shot, because it's different. Like, you got to think...
Don't count Denver out yet. I'm still picking Portland, but yeah.
You got to think the Warriors have in the past gone through the entire playoffs in 17 games.
Yeah. Where
they rattled off 12 straight in the Western Conference and then dropped 1 to LeBron James. Like that's how good they've been.
I feel like they've done that like 3 times.
That's also they really, but that's also like a testament for how much worse all these other teams were too.
See how good the Clippers were. Like, see how good the Clippers were.
And it was like that's something that somebody was like. You really got it. Like Kevin Durant doing this I am Kevin Durant and going off like this is awesome. Like this is the do you know who the fuck I am playoffs for a lot of guys. Like that's kind of what I want to label them as. This is where I'm going. I want to label these playoffs as do you know who the fuck I am for every team. Because Jokic is like do you know who I am?
Absolutely.
Damian Lillard, do you know who I am?
Kawhi.
Kevin Durant. Yep. Kawhi Leonard. Kyrie's got to do it.
Kawhi.
Giannis.
Like you thought I only played 60 games this year and you thought I was washed. Like no.
All of these people are like do you know, like, this is who the fuck I am, dude. Like, I'm here. And the problem with that is it's awesome, but...
You're waiting for Kyrie to be next.
No, if you're the Warriors, you really didn't want Kevin Durant to have to pull the I'm Kevin fucking Durant in round 1 against the... we're playing the Clippers, and you got to break out the I'm Kevin Durant, and then you need to be dropping 50 points a night.
I'm going to give the Clippers a ton of credit, because that was a better series than it ever should have been. But, like... The Warriors were up 31 in Game 2.
Right.
Even in Game 5 Game 5 when they lost. Like it was, they should have won the game. They kept blowing it. They're not doing that against Houston.
So that's where I'm like, I look at the Warriors the last few years. They never really even got a test.
No.
In the Kevin Durant area, they never got a test until Houston. And that was the only test they ever got.
Yeah, I mean, the one game Cleveland won in that finals, they shot like 80% in the first half or something ridiculous. Like
and that's what they scored 90 points in the first half
or something like that in the first half. So, and it was close.
Yeah, it was like 83 to 67 or something. And it was like they just shot incredibly. But it was I'm looking at this and I'm like, they're going to have a challenge. They had a test in the first round. Mm-hmm. They had a test in the first round of the Clippers.
They had a quiz.
Yeah. Well, we won't call it a test. Sure. But it was the Clippers played hard enough for Kevin Durant to have to stand at a podium and say, I'm Kevin Durant. Yeah. It's not exactly what you wanted in the first round of the playoffs.
It's when you're faced with the question, is Patrick Beverley stopping you? That's a pretty appropriate response.
It is, but it's like, you don't even want to be asked that question.
No, you shouldn't have to be asked that question.
It's round 1, dude. Yeah. You're playing the Clippers. And it's like you're playing the Rockets. You're going to beat the Rockets. I'm fairly confident. But then, like, you're going up against Portland, who has Damian Lillard trying to prove that he's as good or better than Steph Curry. That's where his mindset is right now.
He's been better. Well, not tonight, but, I mean, for the playoffs in general, he's definitely been better. Hell, Seth Curry's been better than Steph Curry.
I was going to say, Steph Curry's not even the best Curry right now.
Yeah,
And that's like the difference between this year and the last few years is Golden State has to go up against a guy who's like, no, I'm as good as you guys. And I'm actually might be better. I think I'm better, and I'm going to fucking prove it. Mm-hmm. And that's then you have to go up against a team out of the East that has actually gone through a gauntlet. Because if the Celtics come out of the East, they're going to have to take down Milwaukee and then either Philly or Toronto. It's not
any team that comes out of the East has a legitimate chance. Like, I've sat up here for the last 5 minutes and praised the Warriors and said they could win this in 5 easily. Like, it could happen like that. Who's ever coming out of the East, that's a real chance. Like, there's a real chance that Golden State could lose to that team.
Yep.
I'm not picking it, but it's real.
Like, this is last year LeBron went to 7 against the Pacers.
Yeah.
Like, that Cleveland team sucked.
They're terrible.
They were
garbage.
They
still
awful.
Almost won game 1.
And then having to go to 7 games against the Celtics, who were missing their 2 best players.
Yeah. And, like, again, J.R. Smith remembers how much time is left and remembers what the score is.
And you get a game 1 win.
You probably have game 1, and the whole series is different because LeBron doesn't break his hand on the table.
But that team stank. And it's like the Warriors, whoever they play in the finals this year, if they get there, and that's where I'm bringing it full circle, is this the biggest failure in LeBron's career?
Did you watch The Shop? Was it last night, 2 nights ago?
I didn't. I want to watch it, but I haven't
watched
yet.
it this morning, and it was when they asked LeBron about the Magic thing. And he was like, yeah, I walked in the locker room. I looked at my phone. Roy came up behind me. He was like, Magic stepped down. He was like what, from the car? Like, he's like, no, he stepped out. Like, get the fuck out of here. He looks at his phone. He's like, oh, shit. Looks down at Lonzo. I was like, what happened? Lonzo Ball was on The Shop, too. Just like, Lonzo was like, yeah, you told me he stepped down. I looked at Kuz. I was like, so what are we doing tonight? Like, yeah, Magic's not playing. He's barely even here. Who gives a shit if he's gone? Like, LeBron said he was mad that Magic didn't call him and be like, hey, Bron, I'm leaving. Kiss my ass. He was like, I wouldn't care if it was that, if he just told me to kiss his ass. But he could have told me first. I was like, he doesn't know you that. It's Magic Johnson.
Yeah, he doesn't know you shit. Kyrie Irving.
Step down however he wants.
Kyrie Irving. I don't know anybody's shit. Yeah. That's Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
No, but is this the biggest failure of LeBron's career? Because I'm looking at it now, and it's...
I can't pin it on him, though. But it's an organizational failure. The Lakers failed terribly this year.
What I'm saying is, we looked at it back when we looked at it, and we were like, if LeBron can get into the 7, Denver's the weakest matchup he could hope for. That's the one.
I don't think they would have beat Denver.
But maybe they do. It's LeBron in the playoffs.
It's LeBron. I'll give you that.
And they got taken to 7 by the Spurs. I think they beat Denver.
It's possible.
And then
the Spurs beat the Lakers a lot.
And then you're looking at Portland. And then if you get through Portland, you're either looking at like the most vulnerable Warriors team in years or not the Warriors. It's like everything that LeBron needed to take the Lakers to the finals happened. But the one thing that he needed was to make the fucking playoffs, and he didn't.
Yeah, like the one thing he needed was people who could make threes, because when your best 3-point shooter is Contavious Caldwell-Pope, you're screwed.
Yeah, sure.
Like, you're absolutely screwed, especially when you have a player like LeBron who does nothing but generate wide open threes for his teammates.
No, it definitely was an organizational failure. I mean, and that was, did you see the stat that he created the fewest 3-point assists of his entire career? And
he's sure, yeah.
Like historically the greatest at creating 3-point assists
by
in the history
a
of basketball.
long shot he is.
And this year he had by far the fewest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, Contavious Caldwell-Pope. That's who you're passing to.
They were like, when you rob LeBron of that aspect of his game, you're fucked.
Kevin Love was an all-star last year. What do you think LeBron could have done for Brook Lopez? I mean, you know, that's the organizational failure in it. Like, I still to this day, and I'm not sure we'll ever really know.
What do you think LeBron could have done with D'Lo?
Like, something more than he did with Lonzo.
That's where, like, if LA starts licking their chops at a Ben Simmons trade, I'm like,
I don't think that one works for Philly. But either way, that's just out there in the realm, floating around somewhere.
What are the chances they get Jimmy Butler?
If Philly can't,
because LeBron's looking at Jimmy Butler like a whole ass meal right now.
If Philly can't re-sign Jimmy Butler for whatever reason it is, that's the most logical landing spot. It's got to be
for both the Lakers and Jimmy Butler.
Sure, like the Lakers aren't doing better than Jimmy Butler in free agency. Like, unless it's Clay, which is unfathomable to me at this point.
It's absolutely not Kyrie.
No,
I'm at a point where
even like the scuttlebutt about that, I'd write it off. Like, it'd be like the equivalent of the dog walking back with his tail between his legs.
Right.
Like, you can't do that if you're Kyrie.
He would have no chance to establish a legacy of his own.
Ever.
There's no shot.
It's already the fact that, like, you hit the biggest shot in Cleveland Cavaliers history, but you're not getting a statue, and he is.
With everything that's been coming out of, like, Boston media lately, I'm about 80% that he's staying.
I don't know what to make of it. I really don't. Like, I think I've been, like, on this same level since, like, February, where it's just like, I have no fucking idea. I have no idea. I hear every day, this guy's going to New York. It's 100% that KD and Kyrie are going to New York. Then you hear the Brooklyn thing, and I've pointed it out on here. I tweeted it again this week just to get it in the ether in case there's something that happens. I want to be the first to this take. Brett Yarmark, Michael Yarmark, twin brothers. One is the president of Rock Nation and KD's chief of branding. One is the CEO of the Nets. That's possible. It's not nothing. It's a Bikram yoga stretch, to quote Kobe, but it's not nothing. Like,
it sure isn't nothing.
And I don't know what to make of it. Like, D'Angelo Russell quoted before this whole weed thing, like, "Oh, I'm not sure. I'd love to be here, but they could get somebody and trade me." Who says that? Like, he should be like, yeah, they should want to pay me. They should want to pay me. I made an all-star team. Not, yeah, they could get somebody else and move me.
A lot of guys are saying weird shit as far as free agency goes.
I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea.
I think one thing for certain, KD's not going back to Golden State.
I agree with you. I don't think he is. But I think there has to be at least a moment when he sits there and thinks, if I go back here, we could win 4 out of the next 5, and that gives us 7, and that might make me better than Jordan. That might turn Steph into Pippen on that's a global scale. In Golden State, never. It's always Steph.
My thing with KD right now. Okay, I'll get to Kawhi for a second because on ESPN, whatever what do they call that? NBA preview on ESPN.
Countdown.
Countdown. So they're doing the countdown, and they had the outrageous. Because Kawhi Leonard is the weirdest guy ever with everything that he says. And he's like, my goal is to be a top 50 all-time player.
Just know he's doing all this in New Balances. I want to point that out every single time.
It's true. But he's like, I want to be a top 50 all-time player. And then they're like, can Kawhi accomplish the goal of being a top 50 player? And I was sitting there and I'm like, he already is.
He's better than Scottie Pippen.
Like, what are you talking? What are we talking about?
Like, that was the whole thing when they did the top 50 after 50 years or whatever it was, and Scottie Pippen was in it, and everybody was like, I don't know. So now that's the standard for, is he a top 50 guy of all time? Is he better than Scottie Pippen? Yeah. Fuck yeah, he's better than Scottie Pippen.
I was like, can Kawhi accomplish
Finals MVP?
Can Kawhi accomplish his goal of being a top 50 player? I'm like, what are we talking about here? He is a top 50 player. Like, it's over.
Like, is he better than Scottie Pippen? Yes. Okay.
He has a Finals MVP in which he was by far the best player on the court.
Without a doubt.
He's a
court that featured LeBron James.
What is he? Two-time Defensive Player of the Year, 4-time First Team All Defense.
Could be 5. Yeah, I think it's 4. Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, good. Because you also shoot the 3 at an extremely high rate, and you're an incredible scorer.
He had 39 on 20 shots tonight.
Like, it's fine with me. Then there's the KD argument where they're like, is he knocking on the door of top 10 all time? I'm like, yes. Yeah. I'm at a point where he's knocking. If he finishes this season with a 3rd consecutive Finals MVP and another championship, he's easily top 10. He might be top 5.
That's why I look at it and I'm like, if you just sign one long-term deal in Golden State, those people might like you a hell of a lot more. And then if you just make it seem like you're there to be there.
Like, imagine if they won 7 out of 8. And
that's better than 6 out of 10.
And he's Finals MVP 5 times.
I mean, it's not just like, oh, that's possible. If he stays, that's likely. Like, as long as they're healthy, that's likely. Who's going to beat them?
Everybody's getting better.
Yeah, that's like Boston could eventually maybe challenge them and steal one in there. But, like, it would, if they're healthy, nobody can beat them. Like, re-sign there and keep winning, and it's going to be impossible to keep it all together with Andre. Like, they have one more cycle. By the time Andre Iguodala comes up again, it's got to be over. You can't afford it anymore.
The fear for me is not so much with KD, because I think there's a world where he's like, yeah, I want to stay. The fear for me is, I don't know if Golden State as an organization respects him enough, and like, they are so die on the vine for the guys that they drafted.
I think they still respect him enough. I think they would.
Like, they don't. I don't think they think that he's their best player, even though he is.
You want to know why I think they respect him enough? Because they suspended Draymond for yelling at him. Like, they took a thing that they could have pushed under the rug and said, this isn't a thing, we handle this internally, and instead they suspended him and made it public that they were suspending him.
My thought
with
this is,
their neck out for KD right there.
If it's between KD and Klay Thompson,
you're keeping KD.
We are.
No, I think they are too. And I don't think it would come down to that. I don't think they'd let that happen. Like,
I think Klay Thompson might let that happen. Because he wants so much money, he's not taking a pay cut, and neither is Kevin Durant.
Yo, that Anta deal ain't worth nothing. He's making money over in China. Like, Klay's got money off the court too, but I get it. Like, I think they can keep both. I think that Klay Thompson might be just as important to what they do, but KD is just a supernova. Like, he's insane.
I have one more hot take, and then we can get out of here.
For sure.
If KD never goes to the Warriors, LeBron has 5 rings.
Provided Kyrie doesn't ask for a trade.
Maybe even if he does. Like, I think
he wasn't beating that Warriors team that even didn't have KD if he was trying to do it with Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder.
But maybe that Warriors team isn't the team he sees in the finals if they don't have Kevin Durant.
It's possible. Well, again, if they don't have Kevin Durant, does Chris Paul go to Houston? Or does he say, let's figure this out with Lob City? They move Blake, and all of a sudden you're around Chris Paul.
That's what I'm saying. Is like the Warriors really needed Kevin Durant. Like, people keep going back and going, Kevin Durant's an absolute villain because he went to this team that didn't even need. No, they needed him.
Draymond got in that parking lot and texted him because he had to.
Kevin Durant needed the Warriors, and the Warriors needed Kevin Durant.
This it'll always be that he went there when they were already winning. No, they lost. Like, they weren't winning. They lost. They won the West, but they lost. Like, they blew a 3-1 lead, and you could say they should have won. They were already good. They won 70 games.
And you can still run hypotheticals that the year before in the finals, they should have lost had the Cavs been healthy.
Sure.
But they were running out there with Matthew Dellavedova as their second best player, and they still took 2 games.
Absolutely. Kevin Durant's just fucking awesome. Like, I don't know what else to say. I feel like I've said it all about Kevin Durant. They needed him.
That's where
they would not win 3 in a row without him. I don't know that they'd win one of these last 3 without him.
I don't think they would. I've come all the way around. Like, that's where, how many rings do I think Steph would have if he never had KD as a teammate? 1.
And also, like, where would he be? Would he still be in OKC if he had never gone to Golden State? Where would he be? Because OKC could have beat that team.
I think he was getting the fuck out of OKC.
Yeah,
I think he absolutely didn't want to be with Russ anymore.
Right. And
all.
Let's say Kevin Durant.
I think if he doesn't go to Golden State, he goes to Boston. It was those 2 teams.
Even then, let's say he goes to Washington. Like,
God, good thing he didn't.
Thank God he didn't. He didn't even give him a meeting. But, like, he is from the DMV. But, like, there were a lot of places he could go that you'd wonder, like, would the Warriors still be where they are? I still think they'd win the West. Like, they were amazing. They won 73 games that year. Yeah. Like, I don't know how motivated they would be because, now the last 2 seasons they don't give a shit for 82 games.
They'd still be running Harrison Barnes out there.
Yeah,
and you can bet your ass that at some point LeBron would have figured out how to switch off of Draymond Green and get a matchup with Harrison Barnes.
But they would be deeper. They've been signing guys to mid-level, like, everything because they can't do anything else. Like, they probably would be deeper.
Did you see Steve Kerr said Boogie might be back in this postseason?
When he got hurt, I said, the first thing I texted you was he's back next year.
No. Back in the postseason?
I didn't see that. No, that's wild. He was in a suit. Like, he was on the bench in Houston.
Yeah, Kerr said there's a chance he's going to be back in the postseason.
Which, another thing I saw on the bench today that made me think about, the Pistons should sign Isaiah Thomas next year because he's better than Reggie Jackson. He was just sitting on the bench for Denver today, and I was like, IT, you should be a fucking Piston next year.
Listen, I love Isaiah Thomas.
He could be going back to Boston. That's real.
I think he is going to go back to Boston. I think he's barely going to play. Like, I think
then come to Detroit because you're better than Reggie Jackson. If you can just get healthy, like, not even like back to what you were, but just like healthy to where you can move, you're better than Reggie Jackson.
I don't know if he can get. That's like the issue, though. I don't know if he can get healthy to where he can move.
If he can just get a little healthy, it sucks, dude. It sucks. I feel so bad for him.
I do too. It like really bad because he lost out.
To be a Piston.
He lost out on some money too, and it's just
some. I mean.
All right, I'm going to go through the doldrums if we talk about IT. So let's get out of here. Sure. That's our show. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Happy Monday.